Sweet relief, eh, mate? Welcome to 203rd episode of Mike White's podcast. I'm Jack, as always, joined by Casey. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
I'm pretty good. The sweet relief of that result. It's a while since I've had a celebration like that. In fact, I've never had a celebration like this one. When that goal went in, I did turn to my right and I grabbed my dad, like really grabbed him, borderline aggressively. And all that came out of my mouth was Junior fucking Firpo. So I was quite pleased for everyone involved, but God, that might be as pleased as I've been for someone scoring a goal. Maybe if like Adam Forshaw would have scored just after he came back from injury, maybe that'd have been about it.
No, bless him. He's you could see how much he enjoyed that. I know the stuff in the cup was quite nice, but score a goal that could well be very important. Or we throw it all away, lose the next three, and we're pretty much down, and it was meaningless. But for now,
like you're thinking this might be we're not dead yet. But yeah, we'll get straight into it. Leeds 1, Southampton 0. I am sure if you watched this game as a neutral, that you would have found yourself, especially at half-time, saying, God, this is two shit sides. But, like, even though to an extent it was you could tell neither side had much confidence. And we're going to have to caveat a lot of things with, it's Southampton. But even when we weren't at as best, we were miles better than them. And that was the case for like 97 minutes or whatever we ended up playing in total.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed outside of that half volley straight at El Amelie to tell you anything that James Ward-Prowse did in that game. Onuachu is a useless, tall striker. Yeah. Who offered very little.
I have a note here. I am aware he has a great goal record in Denmark and Belgium, but tall Paul looked terrible. Honor what you doing on a football pitch, my guy. I daren't say it in the ground until he got subbed off because I didn't want to jinx it, but I was watching him going, right, this lad's useless.
It's signing a player like that is properly throwing out this is our philosophy. He's big and has scored goals somewhere else. Just make it work. Yeah. And it doesn't.
I'm sure he must be better than we saw that day, but I'm glad to see. I hope he carries on like that for the rest of the season. There was, I thought, a fair few very noticeable differences that Javi Gracia did brilliant to get in his 1 day of training, because he definitely only did 1 day and he was only involved for 1 day because legally he could only be involved for 1 day. I thought the first thing was we still pressed, but it was a lot less aggressive. Like we sat off their centre halves quite a lot. At one point in the first half, there was even some like jeers from the crowd because we're not used to seeing us sort of sit off in a bit of a mid block and let them do it. And we were sort of letting them go wide, but we were not letting them go through the middle. And I mean, I suppose when you're playing against a side that is low in confidence, just letting them have the ball and make mistakes will work. And it seemed to, but it was odd to see us do that because it's other than sort of when we had 10 men at Man City, that's about the only time we haven't high pressed in about 4 years.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. Obviously, we went with Aronson through the middle as well, with Harrison moving back to inside forward. And it's that thing of you can see it in them that it's kind of still what they want to do, and I think it's what Bamford wants to do. But I thought it was used very much at appropriate times. It wasn't a constant thing, but I think they knew quite well when to pressure them. I think you probably saw McKennie and Adams were sat a bit deeper especially when they were playing out from a goal kick.
I've actually got there somewhere. Adams did seem to drop in a bit more to help out in possession, which I think helped us be a bit calmer. Like I haven't got the actual stat in front of me, but our passing accuracy was higher than it was in any game under Jesse Marsh in this game. Yeah. I think it was about 85%, I think.
I've got it on Google here as 84, but yeah, it's round that. Dominated possession. Allegedly, we had 14 shots.
Yeah,
we didn't have 3.
We didn't have 14 good ones. I can say that, but as I say, it was nice to just be comfortable in a game. The build-up thing that sort of started under Scoops, to be honest, a little bit, where we really did seem to focus it down the left. Yeah, Verba, Firpo, Nonto. We tried to do it again. I was getting a bit frustrated with it because we'd get it to Nonto and no one was coming into that sort of space inside him to give him a pass to help us get up the pitch. So he ended up having to go back a lot.
I think early on, because I was going to say early on with Nonto, I think I did get a little bit frustrated that Firpo wasn't getting past him as much, and I think I got a bit annoyed at Firpo early on, and I think the first 10-15 minutes it was a little bit nervy for him. I think a lot of his decisions he made on the ball were quite negative, but at the same time they all meant we kept possession. It was just, come on, look, you can open up there and take 10 yards, but as the game grew on, you did see him, because in the first half there were times when he'd sort of get alongside Nonto almost and be like,
sort of stop,
go on, just get past him. And I think as the game wore on, he grew more and more into doing that.
Because in the first half he did end up putting in like 3 good crosses. 2 of them were on an overlap and 1 was from a bit deeper, but they're all good balls in.
We don't need a left back anymore, basically.
No, it's amazing. But yeah, that build-up thing was interesting, and I thought it was working because it was weird. We weren't splitting the centre-backs when they were 2v2, and we should have been. But we'd play one pass and then split, which was a bit odd. And also, Southampton just let us do it, which was weird. They had the bodies there to cover Koch and Verba and just didn't do it. But one thing that was a little bit annoying, and I think, again, it's because we've got a top-down view from the East Stand-Upper. There was like 5 separate times where Verba had the ball in that left centre-back slot with loads of space. And Bamford or Nonto or occasionally Aronson would be making a run in behind. And you were just going, just knock it up at top and turn them around. Like that, because they had a surprisingly high line in situations like that. And it would have been interesting to see. I wonder if we might see a bit more of that going forward, because I think they'll watch that back and see that there's definitely room there.
Yeah, it'd be nice to find another way to get Bamford onto the ball, because I think from these last few games, I'd be very interested to see how many touches he's had inside the penalty area. And yes, there's obviously a couple of instances when he's swung at a shot with the wrong foot and just missed it and that. But when he had that touch and turned and went down, by no means did I think it was a penalty. But it was nice to see him turning in the penalty area.
Yeah, he's had a lot of these lately where I'd just say it's like a 6 out of 10 Bamford game. He's led the line well, he's in the right positions, but he hasn't really been able to get involved, and part of that's on him and part of that's on the team as a whole. But I wonder if that'll get better. I'm hoping that gets better as time goes on. In possession, there was a very noticeable... Nonto, even under Marsh, went and stood out on the left touchline a lot. But Harrison was a lot wider on the right-hand side, which sort of opened things up a little bit. That I definitely thought helped. And it was nice to see just that bit more space. I thought Aronson was... I mean, whether you want to say it's 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever, he was sort of doing both. But I thought that there was a few times where he kind of ran forward, and if he'd have dropped into the 10 spot, there was loads of room that he didn't use.
Yeah, I quite I quite liked Aronson because I thought he was quite industrious in the game. But yeah, there are times when you just needed a more intelligent run. But it was nice to see him have a decent game after the run of games he's had. Like I think he needed that.
I wonder if playing that 21s game, one, getting a goal might have helped his confidence, but I wonder if it maybe gave him a little bit of a kick up the ass. Just like, come on, you were brought in to be first choice, and you were first choice, and you were good at start season. You've dropped that off. Again, we have said it before. Caveat: Southampton are shite. When was last time we had a game where we did we at any point ever look like conceding a goal?
Well, at one point, Crescencio Somerville decided he'd have a go for them.
Yeah, apart from that,
there's no, not really. Like the saves Meslier made were relatively close. I mean, I think they had 2 shots on target.
Yeah. Big Paul had that one from edge at box in the first half, which was about 20 seconds after when McKennie had a very easy pass to put Aronson through on goal, and he passed it behind him.
Yeah, and then the other one's the Ward-Prowse effort that's straight at Meslier.
Yeah, and then Somerville's, which is also straight at Meslier.
Much respect to Ilan Meslier from me as a stickler for the pass-back rule.
Meslier, no, you're not a stickler for the pass-back rule. You think the pass-back rule should be a different rule.
I could be both. But yeah, I think there is a moment when Meslier goes to lift his hands and just briefly goes, "If I get done for this, I best edit out." And it was, if I was in on Meslier, what I would have done then is I'd have gone down for 5 minutes.
I mean, the referee was Peter Banks, and he's got a bit of a history of giving really shit decisions against us. So maybe that's why he headed it away. It was, he made his decision, and it was technically, in a way, I suppose, safer, even though it gave away a corner to a team with the best set piece taker in the league. But there was 35,999 people that thought that was not a back pass, and you in that crowd. But yeah, that probably was the most dangerous moment. But I thought as back four as a whole was pretty solid. Ayling had a bit of a weird game. He had a couple of really dodgy passes and one where he got done by a ball over the top of him a little bit. But other than that, he was fine.
It's that ball over the top. You saw it coming a mile off, didn't you? Just going, yeah, he's going to miss this.
Yeah.
He's backpedaling. He's not getting this. Oh, he's missed it.
Yeah. Verba was his usual sort of magnet for blocks.
Yeah. One dreadful pass in him per game. I think one thing I noticed, it's certainly in the second half, and I don't know if it was down to the substitutions or if it's just getting used to the system. There was a couple of times when I think it was Ayling and Aronson were sort of defending on the right-hand side and them two not really knowing who needed to go to the ball and who needed to stay with the man inside.
Yeah, there was a bit of that. I know it definitely happened later on when it was Ayling and Somerville. And it was Roman Perro at that point, because it was 1-0, was really bombing on from left back. So he was basically a left winger. But Ayling was looking at him like, no, that's the fullback. That's the winger's man.
Yeah.
But he was 10 yards ahead of Somerville, so it had become Ayling's man. It never led to anything. And they never looked dangerous because of it. But again, change, new manager, slightly different system, stuff like that's going to happen.
No, Jack, I want it all ironed out now.
Yeah. I thought McKennie was better than he had been in previous games. His passing in the final third was still not very good, but his passing in the rest of the field was a lot better.
Yeah, and I thought, again, you got to see him be a very physical presence in the middle for us. That moment when it's him and Bamford pressuring Bednarek that led to the 2v1. Because Bamford reads the pass, makes the block, and it goes back to Bednarek, and then McKennie comes in from behind and just pushes him out of the way. Goes, nope, that's mine. And if he'd have just given it to someone else 2 yards away to then do the rest of it, I think it'd have been fine. And it's one of those things like you saw him as soon as he played that, as soon as he played the pass, he knew.
Well,
and
we've all done
very
it.
frustrated. He looked very frustrated. Yeah, but we're not all paid any money to do
money.
it. Most of us.
Yeah. But you know when it's a pass that it doesn't matter what level, even if it's like fucking playing 5-a-side, when you know it's an easy 3-yard ball to someone in the clean through and you fuck it up, you do know you do always have shit. I've messed with that. I'd have been fuming at him if we wouldn't have won the game. I'd have been going back and fuming at him. But
you'd be ripping into him for that, because that would have been a fantastic chance. I bet Brendan Aronson was livid.
Yeah. But like all across the goal, it was pretty solid. And before we get to the goal, because one sub was before it, the sub on the hour mark was quite interesting because I don't think anyone saw it coming. Somerville for Nonto. There was you could hear the go around the ground when Nonto's number went up. But I suppose they were defending him quite well, especially in the second half. He was not getting as much of a kick. And I mean, we won, so it worked. And Somerville was involved in the goal and nearly scored a second one later on.
Yeah, I wonder if he wanted basically the left hand side to stay wider, because obviously Nonto, when he gets in possession, is gonna look to cut inside more. Although again, there's him and Firpo were linking up quite well around the penalty area to put crosses in. There's 1 or 2 times when I think Firpo probably ended up taking an extra touch. That Nonto ended up taking an extra touch than he needed to maybe trying to beat another player with you there. Again, no, it's there. Just put it in the box. But I wonder if having Jack Harrison there meant you're just going to have someone hugging the touchline there.
Yeah.
But
I suppose then we score the goal that comes from him not hugging the touchline. Yeah, Rutter does come on before the
Somerville's hugging the touchline and he's on the right wing.
Yeah. Rutter did come on before the goal, but you didn't really see him before the goal. It was all after. Nice bit of play through midfield, including a nice McKennie flick down the line. Somerville ends up with it basically by the corner flag, boxed out 2v1 against, manages to takes a bit of a flick, but he sort of forces a pass through to Harrison. His little flicking to Firpo is really good. Touch inside. And then what I can only describe as a bullet of a shot goes flying past Gavin Bazunu.
I'll translate that one for you. Junior Firpo hits it into the ground with his right foot. For some reason, Jan Bednarek decides he's going to hide in the middle of a football pitch by standing perfectly still.
He's there to block it, turns sideways and pulls his feet back.
He does the thing that players do when they've fouled someone, but they want to make it look like they haven't fouled. So he does that. That's like turning the hands up and like, I didn't. And I assume that 1, Bazunu is not expecting this, and 2, is expecting someone to hit a football vaguely competently.
Yeah. I think that Bednarek left it because the shot was so weak. But because the shot was so weak, Bazunu didn't just expect Bednarek to block it; he expected him to just control it.
I mean, he stood right in front of Bednarek, in front of Bazunu as well. He is. Yeah. It was, at best, it was questionable.
Yeah, they just sort of got in each other's way. But I was obviously all the massive sense of relief, and that was everyone. And I know I said it at the start, but I was so pleased for Junior Firpo.
Yeah, he's a good egg. I still don't know about a footballer, but he's seems to be a good lad. And yeah, for all the stick and being entirely honest, I've given him some of that stick, but he's had a rough go of it in terms of he's had injuries, he's been out of form, he's been in and out of the team. It's quite nice that he's now had 3-4 games, put in decent performances, and he's got a bit of a reward for it.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see. And but just he was a little bit frustrating at times, as he always is. But that little flick from Harrison to set it up was really good. And it's the first like real moment of quality he's had in a final third for a while. And he needed that, especially after the Everton game where he was terrible.
Yeah.
That was good to see. Just before the goal, Ruta came on for Aronson to go 2 up top. And you didn't really get any time to see him in that situation because once 1-0 up, he immediately stopped being a second striker, really. It was a bit deeper. But I thought he did really well when he came on. I thought that he was good on the ball. He held it up well, showed a bit of skill to beat players. He won 2 or 3 good headers. He chased back in. He won 2 or 3 tackles very quickly. I just thought he made in a situation where Leeds' game management this season has been appalling. Like, we've thrown away games all the time, and I just thought he consistently made good decisions when he came on.
Yeah, I think if you compare it to the last few games where he's been coming off the bench, it's a completely different situation because before the goal we had dropped off. Our front line was starting to sit deeper and deeper when they were in possession, and you could see whether it was tiredness or lack of confidence, and as the game was going on, that we just were getting further and further back. I wouldn't even say pinned in, but I think we just lost a bit of steam, and then we got the goal, and it reinvigorated everyone because I think at that point you've got, I don't know if it's just before the goal, but obviously Bamford is then chasing men down like a man possessed and slips into a tackle and absolutely crunches. Who was it that it was their right back? It was Bella Kotchap, wasn't it? I think.
Right back, it'll have been Maitland-Niles.
Oh, Maitland-Niles, sorry. So I think he absolutely flies into him, gets his yellow card.
I think that was after the goal because it was a bit that noise. We used to have it a lot in the Championship where we go 1-0 up, and the next time we were really pressing, everyone would be really on it. Like, go on, you can seal this game here. Yeah, and we got a bit of that. And I think Bamford might have slipped actually going into that tackle because either that or the technique was abysmal.
It was but it reinvigorated us, and we got back on top of Southampton in that time, and pinned them back in, and then so for the first time in weeks, Ruter's coming on in a positive situation where we are retaining possession, where we are, moving up the pitch, where he's not just sitting inside the centre circle acting as the first line of defence. He got the ball. It was his game management was fantastic. Getting it to the corners, holding it there, beating a couple of men. That turn and the flick to go into the penalty area, it's so unlucky when that goes out of play, because that was some excellent movement from him. But like you said, he was a physical presence in there, defended well when he had to, and given the performances, especially in the Everton game, I suppose that's the one where you'd sort of most question it, because that's where we needed a performance most, not just from him, from everyone. But it's nice to get a bit of a display against a Premier League team of what he can do.
Yeah. And then later on, Locker for Bamford, it was just shoring it up. He barely was on the ball, so can't really read much into that. It was just an absolutely massive result because I meant what I said before and what everyone was saying, really. If we don't win this game, we're down. Because we were looking at it going, you need 5 wins. If one of them isn't today, when do they come?
Yeah.
And look, I still think that we're banging trouble, obviously. But now you're looking at it and seeing 4 wins and draws from here, which could get you to, it'd be 34 plus draws. That seems doable. Whereas if we didn't win on Saturday, it wasn't doable.
I mean, obviously, we've got a very, very tough game against Fulham midweek, but we do get a break from that by playing Chelsea next weekend. And they're crap.
Well, they're one of the worst teams in England.
Yeah.
The only other thing to talk about, really, is I don't know if you've watched any of his press conferences or else, so I don't know how you get a feel of him as a guy, but what are your early thoughts on Gracia?
I like him. Seems quite nice. I mean, basically said in his post-match press conference, if we can play like this with one day's training and win, give it a week.
Yeah.
Been running Chelsea ragged. No, again, after Marsh, you just want someone who speaks like a normal football man. I'll take the cliches all day long.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, after if he never says the word clarity, I can live with it. As long as he doesn't start banging on about moments, and it's all fine. If he sat down and they go, "How do you feel about that performance?" Over the moon with it. Brilliant. Thank you. That's all I want.
Yeah. Brilliant. I'm over the moon. At the end of the day, it's a game of two halves. Blah blah. Whatever it is, it's fine. But no, I mean, I like him so far. He seems to speaks well in his press conferences. Don't give much away, which there is a chance that'll be something I like less in a year if he's still here. Which gun to my head, I don't think he will be. Not because of him. He seems fine. I just think it'll be a fresh start next season. But I don't mind in this situation him just keeping his cards close to his chest and everything. Seems to be playing decent football. Not ridiculously expansive, not ridiculously prezzy, just very standard, decent football.
It's Aaron Burr.
Yeah. Are you saying that basically, as Javi Gracia turns to Jesse Marsh and goes, They don't need to know me. They don't like you. The Americans think you're great. You'll always be enjoyed by the ones who create, but in Beeston, they think you're shite. They were fishing for a new manager. I took a bite. That's going to sound like a really weird bit of podcasting to anyone who hasn't seen Hamilton.
I think my judge of a football manager in terms of the information they give is how long is X out for. And if he comes out with days, not weeks, and then Adam Forshaw is out for 6 months, it's like, damn you, Javi.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, obviously I did watch the press conference while I was at work. Injuries are all the same as Saturday. So no Strauch, no Cooper. The only difference is Sam Greenwood's suspended because he got booked in both the games, so he's out. And the thing that I keep forgetting, there are no replays now.
Sorry, in my head I just went, did he get suspended in the 21s games? Oh no, FA Cup, right? Yeah, playing those.
Yeah, I keep forgetting, but there's no replays now. Now you've got to the fifth round. But I think they might have changed that rule like 3-4 years ago, but we never get there.
It's never been a concern.
So it will be straight to extra time and pens if it gets that far. I suppose the main thing is, would you make many changes to the team from Saturday? For what it's worth, it sounded like Gracia sounded like he'll make some, but not loads, is what it sounded like.
I probably wouldn't. And looking at our bench, I don't think there's that many you can make without making the side a fair bit weaker. So probably I think Christensen comes in.
Yeah.
I think Bamford might start, and I think it might be 45 minutes for him. I'd quite like to see him and Naruto start up front together.
Yeah. On the little bit of stuff I wrote down before we started, I've got Christensen for Ayling, Somerville for Nonto, because I think Nonto probably is started a lot of games for someone his age. And then I've got Rutter for Bamford / Rutter with Bamford.
Rutter on Bamford. Yeah, like central midfielders. Obviously, if Greenwood's out,
if he's fitting off,
if they think that, or even if they think he's got 60 minutes in him, maybe Rocker comes in for one of them, Adams or McKennie. But
I would hope McKennie. One of the other things with that, building up on the left we've been doing, I was thinking, if Rocker's your left of the two, that could in theory be a really good way to build up from the back. But we'll see if it happens. And Sonny Perkins will probably jump up to the bench and be involved. He had a good game for 21s the other night, by all accounts.
Yeah, I mean,
He'll
Mateo Joseph.
take Greenwood's place on the bench, maybe.
Yeah, Mateo Joseph was on the bench, wasn't he, on Saturday
Yeah.
for the first team? Yeah, there's not many changes. And to be honest, now that we're at this stage of the competition, I know we've got a game, Saturday, but you kind of want to go for it.
Yeah, you do want to. You do, even in the situation we're in. If this was a third round game and we're in this situation, you're saying, yeah, make all the changes in the world. But once you reach the fifth round, it's because what if we beat Fulham and then draw nobody again, and all of a sudden you're in with a shout. One thing I think it was Graham Smith that mentioned this in the press conference, but I can't remember. Gracia played Aurelio Gomez in their FA Cup run to the final, so he played their second choice keeper all the way through. Based on him being asked about it, I don't think he's going to do that with us. I don't think he's going to play Robles, but there is a chance that he does.
Yeah, well, because he played the first game. He played the first game at Cardiff, didn't he? And then after that, Marsh switched to Meslier for the replay and Accrington. So it'd be an interesting. I'd have no issues if he puts Robles in.
Yeah, and you'd be a lot more surprised if suddenly it was a Chris Klassen out of nowhere, because it's been a while.
That would slightly shock me. I'm just looking at the teams who are left in it here. There's without wanting to pick out and start saying, I'd love to play them or anything like that, but yeah, one or two games that go, the other way and West Ham beat Man United or something like that, but it's fairly, it's the chances there to go somewhere in this tournament.
Yeah.
You got Tottenham are playing Sheffield United, who I know Tottenham beat Chelsea, but Tottenham, you don't know what you're going to come up against week to week. And Sheffield United have played really well at the moment.
Obviously, I hope he gets better soon, but weirdly, Spurs look better when Conte's not there.
Yeah. You've got Man United, West Ham. I'd expect Scum to win, but you never know. I think Grimsby against Southampton has got banana skin written all over it.
Is that one of the ties? I didn't even realize. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Grimsby away at Southampton. The fishy folk on their travels. Yeah. Stoke and Brighton, Leicester, Blackburn, Bristol City, Man City, Burnley and Fleetwood.
Yeah. I'd say you never know. If we can beat Fulham, there is a chance of maybe doing something. But also, if they pick a full team, and that is the one thing, given that they genuinely have an outside shot at Europe at this point, because, I mean...
They're sixth.
I mean, yeah, they've played 25 games, which is a couple more than those around them, but you're sixth in the league. You've got a chance. They might rest a few. I did read something that Fulham fans were sort of expecting him to rest a few. Mitrovic was out at the weekend injured. So even if he is back fit, I would be surprised if they did more than put him on the bench.
That Solomon's been looking good, though. I think, he's got 3 goals in 81 minutes of football so far.
Yeah, 3 and 3, and he hasn't played many minutes, so I'm expecting him to start. He has been playing off the left, but we'll see what he does. I saw, maybe Harry Wilson will come in. They, I believe, have been playing Marek Rodek in goal in the Cups, but he's not a bad keeper either, to be honest, so it doesn't make much. And the only one that I think was definitely out injured were, Neeskens Cabano, who don't play anymore, and Tom Kearney, who does have a hell of a record against us.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be that Carlos Vinicius up top and Solomon off the left. Maybe they'll rest Willian, because even though he's playing like he's 10 years younger than he was a couple of years ago, he isn't. Their recent form's pretty good, though. 3 wins, 3 draws is their last 6, and it's London. I don't know exactly what the odds are, but I would assume Fulham are fairly strong favourites.
I'm just having just having a look on Google here. Some things to fill you with confidence. Leeds have lost each of their last 5 FA Cup matches against Premier League sides, failing to score a single goal.
Nice.
So our last victory over a Premier League side was the infamous win over Spurs. With
I was going to say, is it the? I was going to say McCormack, but no, Varney.
It's the Luke Varney. The Luke Varney game.
Was that the game, by the way? I'm trying to remember because I've dashed out of work at half time, watched the second half in a pub. Didn't Rudy Austin sort of score from the halfway line with the last kick, but the whistle went like as soon as he kicked it?
I don't remember that.
I think that happened.
It's very Rudy Austin.
Yeah. Tweet us
every now and again just to smash one. So yeah,
but like they will be favourites, and rightly so. But because we won against Southampton, I can go into this and sort of just try and enjoy it a bit. Whereas I wouldn't be able to if we hadn't had the win against Southampton. If we win, fantastic. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. I just don't want us to be like awful and get battered. If we end up going out, that's not a disaster. But if we got offered, you're going to have Fulham in the 5th round, you'd go, all right, well, that's winnable. And speaking of winnable, I think that we're going to go out, but I think it's going to go to extra time, so I'm going to go for 1-1.
Well, given our chance creation in the last game, I'm not going to go high, but I'm going to say 1-0 win.
Well, that would be nice. Obviously, we both went for wins in the last one, but neither of us had 1-0.
I said 3-0 or 3-1, and it was laughable, the thought of even there being 2 goals in that game.
Yeah, I had 2-1. You had 3-0. I didn't think Southampton would be good going forward, but I thought we'd be worse defensively than we were. I in the words of George W. Bush, misunderestimated how much difference Yorkshire's Javi Gracia would make. And I have had a quick look. If we're going for it, I think that all these players will play in this game. And I'm going to go for a much lower one. There's a request about on people making fouls here. Harrison Reed, Sasa Lukic, Junior Firpo, Mark Locker all to have 1 foul.
Oof.
And it's 13-8. Oh, no, sorry, I said 13-8. That's one below. It's 11-8. But I think I'll probably just go for that and try and have a lower one that I think will probably land. Obviously, if any of them don't start, it'll be void anyway. So
there's not a right lot of them that's taking my fancy there. So you know what? I'll double down on my 1-0 prediction. Paddy Power have got Leeds to win 1-0 at 10-1.
Leeds 1-0, 10-1. Right, nice one. So yeah, hopefully we can win it. I'm looking forward to watching it. Should be a decent game. Is it BBC, this one?
Yes.
Oh yeah, BBC One. It's at the top of Sky Bet. So yeah, that should be good, and that will do us for episode 203. Hopefully, we should be back. I don't know, Thursday maybe, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll get it in when we can. But thank God we've got that win. We really needed it, and hopefully it's the start of a run, especially with us playing against Graham. I am fine. They are starting to make me doubt Graham Potter, which is some serious doing. But I do also think back to every time we've played against Graham Potter's Brighton and how they just battered us into the ground, even when it was 0-0.
I think back to every time we've played a team that's in the middle of a bad run. Dr. Leeds makes an appearance.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not, but we'll see. But I've been Jax here.
I've been Casey.